So, two things with the common theme of the truth is not how it appears. I just uploaded a video today that I taped today, and it was my random thoughts, not a planned, detailed, researched thing, but just, blah, 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 blah. And when I went to look at it, I saw a short video was next to it that I had taped inadvertently. So I had taped the video on purpose, stopped that video, and then inadvertently started recording again right before I got out of the car. So the video that I took inadvertently is about a minute long, I don't know, a little more than a minute long, and I'm walking, and I have the phone in my hand, I guess, yeah, I have the phone in my hand, and I'm walking, so you see my face a little bit, you see my legs walking back and forth, and a couple times in the video, when you see my face, it looks like I'm looking at the camera. So when I watch footage, I'm usually sure whether it's inadvertent footage or staged footage. But now I'm thinking maybe I'm wrong. If you watch a movie like JFK, which has historical footage interspersed with footage that Oliver Stone directed, to me it was easy to watch that movie and tell which clips were filmed for the movie and which clips were already in existence a couple decades old. So for me, it seems like I can tell, even if somebody's trying to recreate the 60s, it seems like I can tell genuine footage from the 60s and somebody trying to make footage look like it's from the 60s decades later, for instance. And it also seems like I can tell if somebody's acting or if they're testifying, for instance. So if you're watching a television show and some person is in court testifying versus a film of somebody in court really testifying, it seems like you can tell the difference. But I just watched this video of myself, and because it looks like I glanced at the camera, it would have fooled me. It looks like I deliberately staged a 1 minute long video to look like it was inadvertent, but it was inadvertent, and no one would know that but me. And then so that's the first thing that isn't how it appears. And the second thing that isn't how it appears is I was watching a YouTube video about the world map, and it's fascinating to me how something can be true and also politicized or propagandized. And we know that most maps are made so that the northern hemisphere looks bigger, and it makes Africa look smaller. That's just how most maps are. In the Kingdom Eye, there's an example of a map of Thailand, Siam, now Thailand, the Kingdom of Siam. Yul Brynner is the famous one. He has a map, and it shows that his country is huge. And then, of course, the map that the English teacher has is supposed to be the correct one. But now we know that all maps are interpretations. We already knew this. You can't make a flat representation of a sphere. You can't do it physically, physics-wise. So it has to have some distortion. And people choose the distortion that they are comfortable with or that they want to promulgate. The video that I just watched was by a woman who is a homeschool teacher who has started a series called Question the Narrative. So of course that appeals to me, to my conspiracy theory thinking. There's so many conspiracy theories, and not all of them can be true because they contradict each other, right? But there's got to be one or two big ones that are true. There's just got to be. So anyway, her Question the Narrative series, she was talking about cartography, and she went to the Wikipedia page about cartography. And of course, she's suspicious of Wikipedia because everybody is. The people on both sides, the people who believe the overwhelming narrative think Wikipedia is not written by the experts and they're correct, and people who question the narrative realize that, hey, anybody can say anything on there. Not quite. Anyway, let me move on. So she was reading the Wikipedia, quoting the Wikipedia article about cartography, and there were 3 ways that map makers deliberately change the maps. One was to put in their own signature. So just like a Disney artist would put in a little bit of unacceptable something for a frame or two in a movie, a cartographer will put in a little something just to sign their name, just to show their originality, just to see if they can get away with it. It's called a signature. Then another thing cartographers do is they put in an Easter egg. So meaning it's a kind of inside joke or a nod to something, a reference to something else. Another thing that cartographers do is they put in a deliberate mistake so that if they catch another manufacturer of a map or globe with that same mistake, then they can prove that that map just copied their map rather than made their own map. So they'll deliberately put a fake town on a map, or a fake street on a map, or a misspelling on a map, just to see if another company's map copies it so they can legally sue them and prove that it's wrong. And then of course you have the social and propagandized maps where everybody wants their country to be bigger. So I wonder if you took each country in the world and you looked at what they say their square mileage of land is and added it up all together